This is Jeremy Sports Network coming to you live. Hey, you guys, today we're going to talk a little bit of NFC North and the teams that are in the NFC North who made some pretty key big acquisitions and re-signings for their franchises. Teams like the Green Bay Packers, Minnesota Vikings, Detroit Lions, and the Chicago Bears, who are all a part of the NFC North. But we're going to start with the Green Bay Packers coming off a phenomenal season, even though they fell short. But to me, they had a phenomenal run going up against the Atlanta Falcons in the NFC Championship game after they beat Dallas. And they were very short-handed. Jordy Nelson went down. They didn't have Eddie Lacy all year long. It's just a lot that had transpired with that Green Bay Packers squad. And Aaron Rodgers is the man. He seemed to peak at the right time in order for them to win and make it all the way to the NFC Championship game against the Atlanta Falcons, which they came up short. But the Pack narrowly won pretty much the North last year, right? But they entered into the offseason with a lot of momentum. They are, without a doubt, the best team in the division. And losing Michael Hyde, TJ Lane, JC Tedera, Julius Peppers, and Jared Cook does not change anything at all. Especially with Martellus Bennett replacing Cook at tight end. So that's another key acquisition for Aaron Rodgers. And they're also talking about bringing in Adrian Peterson. What could that mean for the Green Bay Packers after he ran all over them throughout his career? But for you to bring on a likes of an Adrian Peterson with with Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback, that suits well for them. And you talk about the Minnesota Vikings. We move on and talk about the Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota has quietly had a nice run in free agency, upgrading with Riley Reif and Mike Remmers in both offensive tackle spots, while adding Latavius Murray from the Oakland Raiders to their backfield, and they were in desperate need of big talent, right? Because you still have questions with Terry Bridgewater, who's coming off a serious injury, but I believe he is going to be somewhat okay. And you lose Adrian Peterson, he's gone. But you still have that good defense. You still have a stud defense in Minnesota, which I like Minnesota a lot. But I think Minnesota is only going to give us an 8-8 year based upon the key acquisitions of Latavius Murray, what they're going to get in the draft as well. I only see them winning about 8 games with Terry Bridgewater if he's the quarterback coming back at the start of the season. So if we move on to talk about a little bit of the Detroit Lions, overrated based on a series of improbable wins in 2016. Matt Stafford set a record for fourth quarter comebacks with 8. Seriously. The Lions essentially traded 2 decent offensive linemen. They got rid of Reif and Warford for the same caliber O-linemen and Rick Wagner and Lane. So to me, upgrading their offensive line, or you didn't pretty much upgrade the offensive line, you kept it pretty much the same for Matt Stafford, right? Even though you give up some changes in Andre Roberts and DeAndre Levy, but they're expected to come back pretty much to, I would give Detroit maybe a 9-7 year, perhaps, winning 9 ball games. Or they could possibly go 10-6. If they can control Green Bay in the division, I still see a good head-to-head matchup with Detroit and Green Bay because Detroit is only going to get better. Matthew Stafford has continuously been proving himself every year long, and he set this record without Calvin Johnson. So, you can't help but like what's going on in Detroit right now, even though they did fall a little bit short last year. But I still believe that Detroit can really be a great team and a playoff team if They build through the draft, continuously build through the draft, and they add in a key component that's sitting out there, which we're gonna do. We're gonna wait a week or so to see later on this week to see if Detroit makes a big move in the free agency market, because there are some big names that's out there that I believe will be a great help to Detroit. But I want to see what they're gonna do first, right? So let's move on and let's talk a little bit about the Chicago Bears. Y'all big time Chicago Bears fans out there, you have a new quarterback. Mike Glennon is an expensive guy right now, right? You think Mike Glennon, who hasn't done nothing in the NFL at all, period, now he's one of the top paid quarterbacks in the league. I mean, then you just signed Mark Sanchez. Where do you see Chicago going right now? Because you try to figure out, like, they're a non-contender. They spent money on aging defensive backs like Prince Amukamara and Quentin Demps. Do I believe that Prince Amukamara and Quentin Demps can make anything happen in Chicago? No, I don't think Chicago has the defensive line or that get after defense like they used to have back in the days. I don't see it at all. You lose your top receiver in Alshon Jeffrey. So, do Chicago win the division? No. Not with Mike Glennon as your quarterback and Mark Sanchez as your backup, and you have two aging defensive backs with right now going up against Minnesota or going up against Green Bay or Detroit in the division. They will wipe the floor with Prince Amukamara and Quinn Demps. Seriously. Like, Chicago, let's be real. You will not be able to average no more than 20 points this year. And I don't see anything happening in Chicago right now that will put Chicago in the forefront of winning the division. But, like I said, the Bears, at least they had a number 3 overall pick and 4 early selections in the next 3 rounds in the draft. And that's status quo for the Packers and Lions, both whom have late round picks. But the Vikings don't have any first round selections after giving up theirs for Sam Bradford, which is a shame because they could have used any help that they can in order to get over the top of the Green Bay Packers. And it's going to happen with them doing it through the draft, but it just sucks that they weren't able to get a first round pick. But I'm pretty sure they will be able to find something clever in the second, third, fourth, and so forth in the later rounds. But right now, it feels as though quarterback Aaron Rodgers and the Pack are in position to dominate while the Lions and Vikes fight it out for the wild card. You know what I mean? But I think that Detroit can edge Green Bay in the upcoming season. It remains to be seen, but this is Jeremy Sports Network bringing you guys the NFC North. And make sure you tune in and like and subscribe. This is Jeremy Sports Network. I'm out. Peace.